Hold on. Let me get online. Share. Okay, so what are patents? Just like any other form of intellectual property, it's a legal right. And that's important because once you obtain a legal right, you then have the ability to sue someone or enforce your legal right through the court systems. So that's always going to be important. And anytime you can gain a legal right or legal access to something, that secures your interest in it. A contract is a legal right. A binding contract is a legal right. A copyright, a patent, a legal right that gives an inventor or owner the exclusive rights. Exclusive means you alone own it. It is your exclusive right. Unless you give it to someone else, no one else can claim access to it. To either make, sell, use, import an invention for a specific period of time. In exchange, right, to receive the patent, you have to disclose uh, details about the invention to the public. So when you file for a patent, you'll see that you go to the United States Patent and Trademarks Office. All patents are public information, so it's incumbent upon you. The the it's required of you to go to that website and make sure that your idea is so unique, so different that no one else has it in order for you to even secure that patent, right? Um, in the United States, a patent typically lasts for 20 years from the date of filing, not from the date that you secured it, but from the date in which you actually filed it. So to secure a patent, when I say you need a truly unique or novel, non obvious gameplay mechanic or technical feature within your game, that means something so different. No one has ever heard of it, no one has ever seen it. When you see, I mean, a lot of things get copied nowadays, but it had to originate from somewhere. So the original owner of that particular technique, of that code, of that gaming style or feature, mechanic, owns the patent to that for 20 years and then they can lease it out. So although when we start talking about intellectual property, it sounds a lot the same. A lot of it sounds the same because they are going to require some of the same elements like uniqueness, individuality, right? Novelty. So, like I stated, to ensure that it's original, you have to file a detailed patent application with relevant patent office, which is the United States Patent and Trademarks Office, that's going to clearly outline the unique aspects of your game and how they function. It's always best, if at all possible, in any of these areas of law, I would always recommend securing an attorney who is well versed and specializes in this area, only because they can help you look through the programming of the system. But the information is there for you too, alone. You have the ability to search the sites. I mean, Google University or YouTube University can pretty much show you how to get through anything. Uh, so that process still is available to any individual person. But when you start thinking about your unique creations and how much money some of these things make, you might understand the worth or find retaining an attorney to be more of an investment, because long term this could be a multi-million dollar, billion-dollar concept. So it's going to be worth it to try to seek help however you can, right? What can be patented? Game ideas can be patented, game controllers and systems. When you really think about the systems that you play, They're all unique in their own way, right? Remember the GameCube? I don't even know if they still have it, but the GameCube was like the first little box cube gaming system. Or the Sega Genesis was very different. And they had uh your actual game cartridges, right? Those were patented. So only if you had a Sega Genesis. Do y'all remember the Sega Genesis? Maybe not. Oh Lord, let me show you a picture. So the Sega Genesis had a system where you had a cartridge that you would stick inside your game system, your cube. It was the only system that looked like that. And you'll see a lot of other games if when you really think about it, like the PlayStation has a unique design, and that's why you I'm not sure if you can, but oftentimes you'll have controllers that may not match every game system. So I'm not sure if that's still the case, but back in the day, if you had a Sega controller, you couldn't use it for a Nintendo, let's say. um so they might have universal controllers nowadays, but in the past, when we first started talking about this, they didn't. I'll show you a picture. They still have them. Let's see. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can pull it all the way over. This is what a Sega Genesis looks like. And it had its own controllers. Pull this back. There's my cursor. Here we go. Hmm. I don't know why this one goes over. See, it looked very different than, let's say, the Nintendo, right? It looks very different than a PlayStation. And it has a cartridge. And you used to have to like blow into this cartridge in order to, make sure it was clear of debris to stick it inside this part of your Sega in order for your gaming system to play. Definitely not $200. I mean, maybe 50. Uh, Now it's probably considered more of a collector's item. I mean, $230. Is that even a lot? How much do you pay for a PlayStation? Okay, it's a PlayStation though. Okay. It is an older game system. But the same way you will see like Sonic the Hedgehog is only going to be on the Sega Genesis system, right? Um, and now most of these games you can likely play online, but this is why novelty or originality is so important, because then you can create a new type of system, a new type of functionality, a new design for your controller, and you can own that design. Um, and if it's so unique and so novel, you can sell that design and have exclusive rights to that for at least 20 years. So does it make sense? And look at this. This is 50 years old, or maybe about 40. I feel like, I mean, maybe less, maybe like 30. Let's see. It might not be that old, but, and it's still worth $240, right? Um, the Sega Genesis was released in 1989. So it's about 35 years old. 35 years old. Um, let's see. And initially, So let's go back to the. So those are the types of things. Game controllers, methods and directions, right? Even something just as simple as up, down, sideways motions, the motions that you use your video game for could be patented. Figurines and other accessories. When you see little characters or figurines from either uh, a video game or a movie, a cartoon, those things can be patented. But like any and everything else, not every video game can be patented. Not every aspect of a video game can be patented. Only unique and technical innovations like the mechanics or a scoring system, um, player interaction methods, or advanced data processing systems can be protected by a patent. So when we talk about new and unique, go ahead.
Like, you talk about copyright stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was inventing them, right? And they had a whole bunch of like, you know, restored replicas.
Mm-hmm.
So like, is that illegal?
It depends. So some replicas are illegal, but it depends on if they're so distinctly unique. If they did have the branding on it, did it look exact? So things like that would be illegal, correct? Like you can't always, so you might see that a lot like on the black market or, you know, in the beauty supply store. Sometimes they try to sell things. Yes, that is illegal. So you cannot do that. But you can make something that looks similar, but it's not the same, as long as you don't present it to be the same. So if you wanted to make a leather belt, as long as you're not calling it Coach or Louis Vuitton, your leather belt, you can sell your leather belt. That's fine. It could be a similar design, but a different name. So it depends on, well, like Louis Vuitton has its own unique signature design. So if it has a Louis Vuitton signature design, then no, you cannot do that. But if the design looks similar and it's a LU or LW, that's distinct enough that the general body knows that it is not Louis Vuitton, right? So then you can sell it as, Lewis Wilson or whatever it is that you want, whatever your initials are, if you like to. Yeah. So let's see. As we talk about the benefit, well, the importance of novelty and uniqueness is that you don't want something that has already been featured to the public or known by other users, because that's when you get yourself into legal trouble. That's when you may have someone try to sue you for infringement upon their patent when when you're presenting something to the public as yours, but it's actually not yours, right? And that's why conducting a thorough patent search is so important. And I'll we'll go over the website a little bit. I won't exactly walk you through what it looks like to conduct a search, but we'll look at that. So the existing patent system and published applications, you want to see if someone is beating you to the punch. It's funny, right now you could easily do a Google search. If you have an idea, if you did a small Google search or a quick Google search, it'll probably let you know whether or not someone else is selling that idea as theirs already. Let's say you had an idea, for girls who get their hair done. Like we see now, they have those, like a rat tail comb, right? It didn't exist. Someone had to make that, the black comb with the little steel end, the rat tail comb, and likely patented that feature. Now you have a parting comb and it looks a little different. Before that existed, you never saw it. So someone likely patented that feature and they have access to that for 20 years. You're right. People can duplicate it and people can make replicas, but you can always fight those individuals, especially if they start making a mass amount of money, right? Um, so that's why it's so important to do those searches, do those patent searches, do a Google search first. It'll likely let you know whether or not this particular idea has been vetted with the public. Someone else has put that idea out to the public. Uh, one of the first classes we had, we talked about Ninja, Tyler Bevelins, and he spoke about creating a hoodie concept with speakers inside the hood. Has anyone ever seen anything like that before? Have you seen that before? I had never seen it. I've never seen it for sale, but that's something that was so unique that he was able to get that idea patented, and he got it patented before he started to try to sell that idea. Because what do you think happens if you start selling your idea before you've secured a patent, before you have this exclusive ownership? Absolutely. And a little different than a copyright, there's no signature that you add to that product, right? There is no date or time that you can add to a code or to, I mean, you can put your logo or your information on the hoodie, but there's nothing to say that you were the first, you were the owner of this or the creator of this. So you want to really think about your idea, whatever it is that you've created, this innovative idea that you have, before you uh, distribute it out to the public. You want to decide whether or not this should be patented first, because that is you claiming exclusive rights. That's you taking the time to know and understand that no one else is presenting this out to the public. You are, in fact, the first. And if you are, you might want to secure your patent first before you try to, or before you even introduce the public to it and risk someone stealing your idea. Um, it's also important for the same reason. The way that you want to protect your patent and your unique ideas and innovations, someone else wants to do that. So if you don't take the time and do this thorough background search and you just so happen to introduce an idea to the world that someone else has and or owns, then what do you think they're going to do to you? Yeah, if you don't do a thorough search and you think you are the first person who created this particular idea, absolutely. That's what's likely to happen. They will likely sue you and take any of the proceeds that you made from selling your product plus more in damages if they feel like the sale of your product has slowed the sale of theirs, right? Mm-hmm.
Like, they, like first, like say if like I had a brand and another brand, like I don't have a patent, like another brand, like the same design, they get the patent, they take all the money that I made off.
No, they wouldn't. But what they might do is what's called a cease and desist. So even if you put it out there first, but you never had it patented, or at least you believe you put it out there first, because without that patent, you can't prove that you were the first person that put it out there. But let's say you did, and another person secured the patent, another company secured the patent, and now they see you selling what they believe is theirs, then they will likely take you to court and sue you not for what you had in the past. Well, yeah, they would likely take you to court to either do a cease and desist or to for damages if you are infringing on their patent. So it's very likely.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Hey, guy, this is what we should talk about. Holding the map out because you ain't using it as a place. Put your phone set. That's not why you're here. Like I talked Friday, if this is an employment training, what are you getting out of it? If you're not gonna pay attention to the presenter. That's what this is all about. That's what we're doing here. Okay, it's called respect also, and I talked about that Friday. Thank you.
So yeah, you really want to think about that and the importance of your product, why it's important to you. And when you really think about it long term, normally these ideas that you might have take a long time to implement, right? It takes a long, if you have the idea of something, to actually get it to a place where you can create something, it doesn't happen overnight, right? It might take months, years, even creating codes that make sense, developing mock-ups or whatever it is, having having your idea come to fruition takes a long time. So that's why we have these protections in place, because we want to be able to support not just the idea of you having exclusive ownership or rights to something, but to respect the work and time and effort that you put into creating this for a public use. We want you to be able to reap the benefits of that. And that's why a lot of these protections are in place. You, like anyone else, has the right to do that, but we want to continue to do that. Does anyone know why we have patents though? Why do you think they only give you 20 years? We talked about copyrights, and copyrights can last the lifetime of the individual plus 70 years. So I have this brand, I have this, copyright, and my heirs can benefit from it. But the same is not true for patents. Do you have an idea why that might be the case? So
Each product, I think like that's like the idea.
it is. It is an idea.
So you have like that idea is a product. Like,
Well, it's going to be a little different. There too. It's a technical, mechanical construct, but we see how fast evolution of technology has become. One day, I mean, in my lifetime, cell phones were created in my lifetime. So to see where they were initially created to where they are today, the evolution of the cell phone it's changed so much. Video games, you no longer have a cartridge, right? You can download things on the internet. The internet has made evolution or access to things so immediate and ever changing. The idea is that if you have something that you've patented, you're able to 20 years is enough time for you to reap the benefits. And then we can continue to allow the evolution of technology so other people can start using it and make it better, right? And do other change it in whatever ways that maybe you couldn't as one individual. But now we are allowing for this kind of growth in technology that we've always wanted to see, but we also want to respect your initial privacy to it, your initial exclusivity to it. So that's why you'll see patents are much shorter than something like a copyright, because copyright is more branding. It is a physical, tangible thing. It's less of a mechanical or technical advancement. It's it can be a work though. Obviously, it could be a book, but you can change your copyright. We saw that with copyright laws. If I just um, review something, if I play something and I'm reviewing it, now I have my own copyright. So you can see the changes in it almost immediately, and I can use that information. I can take an excerpt from a book, a famous excerpt from a book, and review it and make my own book and still include that other information. The same is not necessarily true for a trademark. Once I own, or for a patent, excuse me, once I own that code and I have the exclusive rights to that code, let's say it's like Mortal Kombat's Get Over Here move. Once I have the patent to that signature move, you cannot use it. You can't use it and recreate it and change it. But you can do that. We know that you can do that with the copyright. So let's see. I'll show you guys a short video on some famous video game patents that you may not have known existed. Let me.
Experience the power of AI.
Let me share this. And then after that, we'll look at the website where you can get your works patented.
And the intelligence of AI analytics.
Wondered why that amazing bit of tech they use in games or an amazing system never made it into other games, like the Nemesis system in Shadow of War. Some of them literally transform the game, and you wonder, why has nobody else used this? Do other game developers not play this game? Know about it? Well, it turns out the system is that good. It's probably been patented by the company, so no other game developer can use it without getting sued into oblivion, which has happened, and it is on this list.
And it
Now,
does happen.
Beautifully simplistic ping system is one example of a patented system, but interestingly, it was done for a good cause. EA took out a patent on the much lauded ping system in Apex Legends. Patents tend to be used by companies to protect innovations, but in this instance, EA has patented the system as part of its accessibility patent pledge, an initiative that opens up accessibility-led patents to developers in a bid to encourage collaboration and drive forward accessibility in the video game industry. The ping system allows you to communicate with your teammates in Respawn's Battle Royale hero shooter by making points of interest, calling out the location of an enemy, and much more, as well as reducing in-game toxicity by offering an effective alternative to speaking over voice chat.
So do you know what? See what I mean by like a technical or mechanical innovation, not like a tangible clothing item.
Play Top Games Radar in a recent interview that when you patent a technology or idea, you publish technical information that would otherwise have never been accessible to the public. And as such, this equips developers with know-how and it advances the state of art in game development. The Nemesis system, introduced in Middle-earth's Shadow of Mordor and later refined in Shadow of War, put a refreshing and innovative spin on procedurally generated enemies. Instead of fighting nameless carbon copy foes, Shadow of Mordor pits you against various different members of Orc society, and each and every one is unique to your playthrough. With their own names and ranks, every Orc you come across will remember your encounters to add more depth to the action. It quickly became a huge selling point and trademark feature of Monolith's action RPG series. Many have wondered why social vendettas never made their way out of Mordor and into other games in the industry. And this, it would appear, is why. After several years of trying, Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment successfully patented the Nemesis system, meaning that the appearance of similar systems outside of games produced by Warner Brothers is very unlikely. In the medium, you take on the role of Marianne, who you control in both the real world and the spirit world, in which developer Bloober Team calls dual reality gameplay. The screen is split in half, so you gain two different perspectives in both worlds. Ahead of the game's release, many were quick to notice that Bloober described this dual reality style as never seen before and officially patented gameplay. As it turns out, Bloober filed a patent for this dual reality gameplay back in 2016. As you can see from the filing, the developer patented the method of simultaneous playing in single player video games, where the key feature of the invention is the way of playing in a video game for a single player, involving simultaneous controlling of several character avatars placed in several virtual realities that constitute separately presented story universes. Currently active until 2039, it does make you wonder what kind of Bloober projects we might see using this style of gameplay in the future.
Okay.
One very
2039.
prominent part of the Mass Effect experience is actually painted by the developer. BioWare requested a patent for the dialogue wheel or graphical interface for interactive dialogue used to select your responses back in 2006, which was officially approved a few years later. Still currently active, this might go some way to explaining why other RPGs that came after this date continue to present dialogue choices in a list form. The wheel interface that presents you with a selection of different responses went on to be used in the entire Mass Effect trilogy, as well as the more recent Mass Effect Andromeda, and also found its way into BioWare's other franchises in both Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition.
They're just like a copyright. You can't lease your ideas so other people can use it. Yeah.
For years, we found ourselves staring at a loading screen as we waited to get back into the virtual adventuring.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the most famous and well-known patents just so happened to be related to loading screens. Back in 1995, Namco took out a patent for the use of auxiliary minigame during loading screens. The idea is to keep players busy with a minigame while they wait for the main game to load. Not screens for games such as Ridge Racer. There were some ways around the patent with the likes of FIFA, including some distractions in between matches, but for the most part, minigames rarely appeared to mitigate loading times. The patent eventually expired in 2015, opening up the door to include minigames and loading screens to developers everywhere once more.
And it's still might not be that relevant, the loading games, because technology moves so quickly.
Destination. Using this as a guide, you try to take your customers to their location in the requested time. Sega filed a patent for this directional arrow feature in 1998. As of 2018, it has now officially expired, but before it did expire, Sega did sue another game over a green arrow. How dare they? It was Simpsons Road Rage that ran afoul of Sega for this infringement back in 2003. Oh. Eternal Darkness from developer C.L.I.C.K and Nintendo, released on the GameCube back in 2002. Described as a psychological horror, the adventure included a sanity system which featured a meter bar. The meter depletes if your character stumbles upon an enemy or sees a gruesome situation. When this happens in-game, various effects occur on screen and around the environment to show the character is being affected by these encounters. Prior to the game's release, Nintendo filed a patent for a video game and game system incorporating a game character's sanity level that is affected
When you
by
look at what a patent looks like, it's very technical, right?
So get ready for more sanity systems to start popping up, folks. Nintendo pioneered the design of the D-pad back in the 80s, and it was such a good design that it continued to form part of Nintendo's consoles and handhelds throughout the years. Given its great design, it's not so surprising to learn that Nintendo patented its trademark multi-directional switch. While the patent expired in 2005, it is interesting to consider how this patent might have influenced the design of button layouts for other controllers for consoles such as the PlayStation and Xbox when it was still active. Midway Amusement Games took out a now expired patent with a rather interesting title back in 2000. It was called Unlocking Secrets in Video Games, and it was essentially a way to sell peripherals by locking game content that could only be accessed by using a particular controller. A video game system and method is provided which the enabled content of a video game depends upon the type of video game controller coupled to the video game console, the abstract reads. So, if you were to use a specific controller that's a matching type to the game you're playing, it would unlock extra features or secrets in-game that are not otherwise available. Additional paid-for content is nothing new in the world of video games, but just imagine having to buy a controller just to get your hand on more features and secrets. How annoying. So, what's your favorite video game patent? Is there any out there that you've heard about? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. So, and this is some of the stuff. So games or as interesting as that is, the patent, the look, what a patent looks like, it's literally a document, right? It's you have to be able to transition and argue or write what it is that you intend to do technically using a code. You might need to use, a graphic design to try to explain why this is new, why this is innovative, why no one else has this technology or is using this technology. This are all the patents that we went over. already. In order to actually secure your patent. But that's really important because again, you need to prove that this is yours and yours alone after you look at the after you search your patent to make sure that no one else has created this particular idea and is not currently for public consumption. Let's go to the website. So I'll show you guys what it looks like. So this is pretty much, I mean, what you'll be looking at. This is how you search patents. You could do a basic search, you could do an advanced search. There are training materials, just like a copyright. You know, this is the United States. This is the federal agency that's running this to ensuring that you guys can secure your right. And they want to make it as easy as possible. It's very technical, so it may not sound that easy or look that easy, but this is why they give you a lot of tutorials or quick reference guides, tutorial videos, so you can learn and understand really all topics, right? How to search. If you're new, the search criteria. What are you searching by? So I would start here first if there's something that you really want to, an idea that you truly have. Let's see, combine data searches. I don't give you something that's really long. But if there are ideas that you have, you can start here before you think that you might be at a place where you need to secure an attorney.
Quick search format with a three-panel layout.
Mm-hmm.
Let's begin by searching for all patents and published patent applications that mention the word polymer in a title, like this: polymer, period, TI, period. The TI field code directs the search to the title field. Be sure that you are using two periods, one before
Very technical.
and after the field code. To add a date restriction to the search, enter the AND operator after the title search portion. Now we will add the code for searching dates, which is the @ symbol, followed by PD. To search for all documents published after or on a particular date, enter your query like this: @PD greater than equal to 2019-01-01. In this case, we are searching for documents published on or after January 1st, 2019 that also have the word polymer in the title.
And this is why these tutorials exist, because they're not very intuitive, user friendly, right?
Results pane. In patent public search, you can also search for a range of dates in combination with other searches. For example, if you wanted to search for all documents assigned to the company C.L.I.C.K that were published between December 1st and December 15th of 2022, you could enter your search like this: Samsung period AS period and @PD greater than equal to 2022-12-01, less than equal to 2022-12-15. The AS field code directs the search to the assigning field. The two dates entered here will define the range that we want to include in our search. And that is how a search by date combined with other types of searches in patent public search. For more information, just click on the Help tab next to your search results and scroll down to see the menu of help topics.
Tons of
Be sure to visit the training materials webpage, where you can find online resources and more patent public search tutorials.
very technical stuff, but they do have a lot of information, a wealth of information for you to kind of peruse through if you feel like you're at that stage. Again, if there's anything that you could take away from this lesson, it will be before you put something out to the public for public consumption that you think should be patented, you might want to think about whether or not securing the patent is your first step, or you can risk someone else using it, taking it as their own, securing the patent, and then claiming ownership to it, right? And claiming those exclusive rights to it. So we've gone over copyrights and we've gone over patents. Our next class, we will go over trademarks, which is something that you all should be very, very familiar with. What do you think a trademark is? Mhm. I'm sorry. That's true. Well, not necessarily say it is. It's almost kind of how you identify. So when you think of a trademark, it might be how you identify a particular company. So, what's a famous trademark? Like a logo. That's exactly it. Yep, like Nike, right? Just do it. That's going to be your trademark, something very unique. Again, it'll have a different ownership or exclusivity timeline, and you can never lose the rights to your trademark. It's your own identity. It's how you identify as a company or as an individual. So once you create one and have your own, you never lose that. But just like anything else, it has to be unique and novel. It has to be your own original creation because you cannot take someone else's. So, any questions about patents? Yeah.
Is that like same thing?
So how the we operates would be a patent. So yeah, a DVD will be it's a new, novel, unique form of technology. Yeah. So the idea of it, but what's on it, then it changes, right? So the idea of whether or not the idea of that could be exclusive, ideally, if you created it, you likely license it out because just like you see, movies want to be on DVDs. This is a form of communication, it becomes a form of how we communicate or how we enjoy media, let's say, right? Not necessarily communication, but how we enjoy media. Or then it transitioned to having blank DVDs. And so you could put your pictures, your own individual photos on it. So whoever owns the rights to the DVD in and of itself, the idea or the creation of it, it made more sense to license the use of it because then Pop Warner has to pay you, Sony has to pay you, Time Warner, all of these other companies have to pay you to use your particular product. Does that make you see how it comes full circle? Even the technology behind earbuds, right? Someone owned that technology, but it doesn't make sense for them to keep it themselves because they can license it out to Apple and Samsung and whomever else to use the technology that comes from it. So some things you might want to keep for yourself, and then other things it just makes more sense to license it out because it will prove to be more lucrative for you. That's a great example. Yeah. Okay, well, have about 5 minutes. I think Aramis will be here shortly. Take a break, get up, move around, rest, move your body. And I will see you all next week.